Hurricane Beryl is heading toward Jamaica and Mexico after battering the southeastern Caribbean. Some islands have reported massive damage with at least 6 deaths. On Monday, Beryl became the earliest storm to develop into a Category 5, but it's now been downgraded again to a Category 4. It's expected to bring life-threatening winds and storm surges to Jamaica.
Bringing their boats in from the shore. Jamaican fishermen trying to save what they can as Hurricane Beryl churns towards the island.
Only hope and pray it change. I wouldn't like that in Jamaica because enough people have a good house.
The local government is using the last few hours before the impact to clear out the city's waterways to prevent them from overflowing. And technicians are doing what they can to stop crucial telecommunication lines from being cut.
This is your last few hours to complete those preparations. Follow any guidance or evacuation orders you've been given by local officials. Widespread heavy rainfall, especially in mountainous areas, and rainfall flooding has the potential to kill large numbers of people across the Caribbean, especially in those mountainous areas. So again, multiple life-threatening hazards, especially in Jamaica.
And it's not just people in Jamaica preparing to face Beryl's disastrous force. Locals in Mexico have also been stocking up on goods and using plywood to secure their homes and businesses. But it's hard to tell if those efforts will make much of a difference. As after battering the southeast Caribbean, Beryl has proven time and again that it will spare nothing in its path.
US President Joe Biden and Washington said Washington was ready to help areas hit by the hurricane.
Right now we're also tracking Hurricane Beryl, which is passing through the Caribbean. It's the earliest time ever a dangerous Category 5 hurricane has been recorded in American history. People impacted islands and communities are in our prayers, and we stand by to provide assistance to them.
Let's bring in Matthew Cappucci. He's a meteorologist and atmospheric scientist who's been following Beryl's development from the US East Coast. Welcome back to DW, Matthew. Explain to us the significance of an early Category 5 hurricane, as the President just mentioned there. All right, we've got a few technical problems there, so we're going to have to leave that, Matthew Cappucci.
Testing, 1, 2.
All right, well, you're back with us now. All right, you were silent for most of that, but your hands did a lot of talking. Yeah, explain to us the significance of an early Category 5 hurricane.
Yeah, most definitely. So we don't really see storms like this early in the season. When we talk about storms over the Atlantic's main development region, or MDR, the imaginary box between South America and Africa, they tend to get going in like August, September. Ordinarily this time of year, the upper level winds are too hostile and they tear storms apart. In this case, we had weak upper level winds, very warm water temperatures catalyzed by climate change, and enough upward moving air and spreading at the upper levels to kind of vacuum more air upwards that we got this storm forming. It is the earliest forming Category 5 in Atlantic history, dating back to at least 1851 when bookkeeping began. The other earliest, the previous record, was Emily back in 2005, which became a Category 5 on the 17th of July. It is the farthest south Category 4 plus on record. It is the fastest intensifying storm on record for any time before September. Simply stated, this is a very high-end storm and one that beats so many records.
Right. And as it closes in on Jamaica, Beryl's just been downgraded to a Category 4. But Jamaica is a bigger island with a bigger population and a denser population centres than some of the areas Beryl's already hit. So how bad could this get?
So there are two things I'm really concerned about. Right now, winds are around 240 kilometers per hour in the core of the storm, but the storm is likely to pass near or just south of Jamaica, meaning either Jamaica gets the core with the worst winds, or if it stays just offshore, they'll see onshore winds, essentially piling water against the coastline, leading to a 1 to 3 meter storm surge, in addition to about 15 to 25 centimeters worth of rainfall, which could cause flooding and mudslides inland. Then this thing heads towards the Yucatan Peninsula Thursday into Friday, causing damage there, and eventually it might wind up in the Gulf of Mexico, becoming a threat to the mainland U.S.
And does the fact that Beryl's been downgraded from Category 5 to 4 mean that by the time that it hits Mexico, it will be even less powerful, or could it grow in strength?
So I think over these next 36 to 48 hours, upper-level winds, which will be strengthening, might kind of knock this storm off kilter, playing like a game of tug-of-war with the different levels of the storm. So I do think its strength will decline a little bit by the time it gets to the Yucatan Peninsula and Cancun, probably a Category 2 by then, which should spare them the worst of the impacts. That said, eventually it will merge into the Bay of Campeche or the Gulf of Mexico sometime like Friday night into Saturday, and at that point there might be a sneaky window for more rapid intensification, and this thing could theoretically become a major hurricane once again in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico. Again, it's a big wild card at this point, but all things are on the table, and sometimes you got to throw out the rule book. This seems to be one of those times.
OK, thanks for talking us through that, Matthew. Meteorologist Matthew Cappucci.